Turn this thing over to you. All right, the Black Gold Nation presents Cinematic Connections for Revolutionary Change, an engaging, enlightening, and entertaining assessment of movies as it relates to the forward progress of Black people in America, Africa, and the diaspora. Get my screen to catch up with my clicks. All right, what is the Black Gold Nation Movement? The Black Gold Nation Movement is an international organization that seeks to liberate and save Black people by establishing our own towns/cities whereby we control the environment to make our people bigger, better, and stronger. So it's our contention, our belief, the supporters, members, the leaders in this movement, that when we allow other people to control our environment, we lose, period, every single time. When we allow other people to control any aspect of that environment, any system within that environment that other people control, we always find ourselves on the bottom of it. It doesn't matter if it's the political system, the economic system, the educational system, the spiritual system, the agricultural system, the security system, it doesn't matter. When other people control any aspect of the system that affects our lives, we either lose completely or we find ourselves on the bottom of that system. So since we no longer want to be at the bottom, since we no longer want to lose, we want to be in control of the system of the environment as much as possible. Because we believe, as history has shown and proven, that when we are in control, we not only do just fine, but we start doing much better than everyone else. And that's another reason why they seek to destroy every single thing we bring together and try to build. Why we came to be, based on the understandings, teachings, practices, and strategies of past and current organizations that our leadership has lived, studied, and are taught, and the need to continue doing. We build upon the successes minus the mistakes to provide our people solutions that work now, to implement a 100-year plan to build power. So we understand that all of those righteous Black people, all those movements that came before us, all of them were trying to do a very good and necessary thing, but all of them failed for a number of reasons. We have to study and understand what they were trying to do, how they were trying to do it, and probably most importantly, why they failed, so that we don't make the same mistakes. We have to study them so we can understand where they were strong, what they got right, because all of them got some things right, so we can build upon those successes. But we also have to understand what they got wrong and the reasons why they got those things wrong so that we don't make the same mistakes. And we have to do that probably for the most important reason, which is our children, our youth, those that are coming behind us. We have to understand this race that we are in. We got to understand this war that we're born into. And you can't do that if you're not studying how the race is ran, the rules, how it actually works, so that we can run our leg of the race as best we can, so that we can give it to our children. When we pass this baton, we need to make sure that we are giving it to them so that they have a lead and they're not behind. So we have to do all of this stuff because what we're trying to do has never been done before. What we're trying to do, our people have never come together and thought about and done, because no one's fully understood what we were up against, how this thing works, and how we can win. And that's why what we do is so important. We're making history. And we're making history because we study, we understand, and we're about educating our people as to how this thing really works. And we want to do this so that we can implement a plan that's 100 years out to build power for our people, so that we can give our children that plan that's 100 years out. And as we train them to be a new kind of Black child, Black person in America and around the world, they can add their plan of 100 years of power onto our plan, so that as a people, we will always be 100 years out, and we won't always be behind, and we can actually own and control our space and our environment, which is an absolute game changer. So that's who we are as the Black Gold Nation. That's what we're trying to do. And now I'm going to turn this thing over to Brother Craig Lee, who's going to talk about this movie, Fresh. And just so you know, Brother Craig, your camera is off.
I know.
All right, it's on you.
All right, good morning, Brother T.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, sir?
I am fantabulous.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, so I'm actually headed over here to the gymnasium, so I'm gonna talk to you. And then once I'm parked, I'll be able to really do the video. But as always, what I like to do, Brother T, is start with a perspective of the film. So I wanted to get you into Manny's perspective as it relates to what you all thought about the film.
Man, you don't have to do this, Jeff.
It's for everybody. What do you think about the film? The movie Fresh. What do you think about the movie Fresh?
Dude, I actually like the movie, man. I saw it when they previewed it, but I don't know. Certain movies, I just choose not to watch them for sometimes a weird reason. But I love the movie and I love the play that the young kid made, man. That was so, boy, that was for a kid. Dude, that was just like, wow. So anyway, I really love the movie.
Okay, Tamani.
I thought it was a good movie as well. Of course, you know, as we've discussed, I've been playing chess for a minute. I love the game. I love the strategy behind the game. And like Brother Ted said, I think the fact that this young person had the intellect, the understanding, the critical thinking skills to understand that the world, not just his personal world, but the world is actually a chessboard, and everyone has a role to play, even if they don't realize it. So I thought overall it was a good movie, a good basic understanding of how important it is to think about your position on the board, to understand the board, and probably more importantly, understand the pieces on the board and how they can be used to move a particular agenda forward. So I thought it was a good movie.
Okay, cool. So how did the film begin? Because I always tell people, Brother Ted, that a lot is to be learned within the first few minutes, 2 to 5 minutes of a film. So how did the film begin?
What he does.
Well, really? You know, I'm older than you, Craig. I don't remember exactly now. Man, it's been 3 weeks or whatever. I don't remember exactly.
Brother Tamani?
The film begins with him making runs to pick up the.
No.
That's not how it begins. Hold on, let me think. I'm not sure if I get my movies mixed up, but does it begin with a drawing of the city, a blank slate, and then the buildings start coming into place?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So yeah, that's how it begins. With I guess with the development of the city.
Exactly. So why do you think that they took that perspective?
I have to guess, man. They're trying to show that, you know, what currently exists started from nothing. It was built up from the ground up, so to speak. And you know that could be a metaphor for, I don't know, a metaphor for the chessboard. It is what it is until you start putting the pieces on the board, putting pieces in place, and then you maneuver with those pieces, and that becomes something. So that could be a way to.
But think about the title of the movie. Fresh.
Yeah.
So there's nothing, and so you coming up with fresh. Everything starts with what?
A fresh start.
An idea.
An idea. Shit. Okay.
So,
no doubt.
So everything starts with an idea. So the term fresh is a metaphor for a new start, new idea.
A fresh start. I can dig it. Yeah.
So you had nothing, and now the ideas started to come, and you saw one building, and you saw another building, then you saw streets, and then ultimately you see the city. So what city does the film take place in?
I think Baltimore.
New York.
I think New York.
Yeah. So the fresh start, you know, nothingness. Now you create these ideas, these fresh concepts, and now you have New York, and now you have oppression, because this is where he's growing up in an oppressed environment.
Mm-hmm.
So what's y'all's definition, like the Eurocentric? I want y'all to give me the perspective of the Eurocentric definition of fresh and the Afrocentric, or the urban Afrocentric definition of fresh.
Of fresh?
Yeah, because that's
And you said the urban dictionary?
urban definition.
Okay.
Like what's the Eurocentric? Give me y'all's perspective of the Eurocentric definition of fresh, and then the urban Afrocentric definition of fresh. Because not only is this the title of the movie, this is his name.
Okay. You want to take a stab at it? You may go.
You can go, cause.
All right, so I'm going to say that the European definition of fresh.
Just pull it up.
Huh?
Just pull it up.
Oh.
Just pull it up.
All right, give me a second. We need some music playing while I do this.
You know, it's funny. I watched the movie because I knew we were gonna do a review, but I'm not in the habit of watching movies with that critical eye.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And we'll have to take that into consideration going forward.
For real. For sure.
Yeah. See, because the thing is, Ted, like I was saying Thursday when I referenced Steve Coakley, see what the white folks do, especially in their epic film or their epic television series like Game of Thrones or Braveheart or Matrix. See, they put a coded messages that have to be deciphered with a critical eye. And even when you watch a film, like we haven't watched it yet, but we're gonna do it, like Eddie Murphy and Martin Lawrence's Life, right?
Yeah.
This was a perceived comedy, right?
Yeah.
But now if we get into the critical analysis of the film, the movie was really a historical account from a comedic standpoint of what? The Black codes.
Yes.
That's what the movie really was. Because coming out of slavery, you could get sentenced to prison based on the concept of slavery by another name, the whole convict leasing program. And that's what that whole film is really about, right? So, but if you don't get into the critical analysis, especially if it's a comedy like Life, you'll never really know what's going on, and the average audience wouldn't.
Yeah.
So when Damani approached me about doing the film review, I'm like, that's cool because I do movie reviews throughout the year here in Shreveport, and we break these things down so people can see what's really being said in the movie, because you don't just come up with a title like Fresh just because, or you don't just, there's a reason why they put all of these things in film. So we have to decipher what that is, because we'll never be invited into a mafia meeting, right? We'll never be invited into any of that. So we have to watch film and study, research and study material in order to know how they go about making the various moves that they make. And lastly, before Tamani gives the definition, Taro was telling me this morning that they arrested 24 people in conjunction with the murder of the police officer from New Orleans. Now, I want you to think about this now. They arrested them in concert with this, but where most people believe that crime is just some abstract thing, this shows you what? These Negroes got a well-organized machine that is doing surveillance, counter-surveillance of people who, unlike myself, I'm in the public spotlight, the regular person wouldn't even believe, like, I'm just a regular person. I just go to work. Like, why would someone want to target me? Because your punk ass is driving a goddamn Lexus. Because you're driving a Mercedes.
Right.
Because your ass just came out of a goddamn store with a Gucci bag or a Fendi bag.
Yeah.
You see, and you're not believing somebody's watching your goddamn ass. So now the real element, instead of just focusing all the attention on how can the police protect people, You now have to get people to start to think analytically, critically about how they can be targeted. Well, what's the best training module for you? Goddamn movie, goddamn documentary. Because most Negroes are not going to read. Most people are not going to read. And even if they did read, they wouldn't understand and comprehend. Well, at least if you start to watch movies and documentaries and TV shows that are relevant, you'll start to set your mind in place. Because guess how these criminals learn to do what the fuck they do?
TV and movies.
TV, movies, and video games.
Right.
Okay.
That's right. Right.
So
I got something to say about that, but I want Tamani to go ahead on and do this.
Okay. Down the road.
All right, so this is a definition of fresh. I'm gonna give you the Merriam-Webster definition first, so I guess which would be the European, then I'm gonna give you the slang definition. The slang definition popped up first, which is interesting. But the Merriam-Webster is having its original qualities unimpaired, such as full of or renewed in vigor, not stale, sour, or decayed, not faded, not worn or rumpled. And the second one is not altered by processing. So that is the Merriam-Webster definition of fresh. And the slang definition is having its original qualities unimpaired, such as full of, well, I think it's the same. Oh no, full of or renewed in vigor, refreshed rose fresh from a good night's sleep, not stale, sour, or decayed fresh bread, not faded lessons fresh in her memory, not worn or rumpled a fresh white shirt.
Yeah. So fresh is a metaphor in this movie for originality. You can't say he's uncorrupted because he's in the process of the philosophy, the system, and the game of capitalistic white supremacy, but he's fresh in that he does have originality and thought. And now this is going to be played out throughout the movie using chess, which is our second chess movie, Brother Ted. You know, first was Life of a King, and now Fresh. And this one, even more so than Life of a King, it really gets into him being the actual king in the game. Now, what were you gonna say, Brother Ted?
So you know, this made me think several things, and one of the I think one of the Thursday Revolutionary Code things I was listening to with you before, the fact that these producers, directors, whatever, put these messages in the movie. Are they literally trying to tell us something by doing that? Are they really trying to send us that coded message? And if so, doing it that way, because we know typically a lot of people will not read, or they're not gonna, hell, I don't know how else you would get information. It sounds that conspiracy theory type thing where people normally wouldn't listen to you, wouldn't hear you anyway. So, okay, here's another method of us getting this message out for people to see it out on the screen, and maybe it'll connect something. And if they are doing it that way, the people that they're telling us about, wouldn't they be against these producers writing and or making these type of movies?
That's a very good question. So let's take it from the executive producers, directors who represent the architects, engineers, and managers of the philosophy, system, and game of capitalistic white supremacy, racism. So from what Steve Coakley, and I love his explanation of the question that you just asked, from what Steve Coakley said about those particular individuals and why they put these hidden messages and symbolism in film and documentary and whatnot, is because they're so arrogant. They know that the people, whether they be regardless of ethnicity or race, they know the people are so blind and so ignorant and unlearned. They get a high, a kick, almost a mental orgasm off of being able to tell you the truth in the film, knowing that they've disguised it around the concept of entertainment. Because when you really sit and think about this, Brother Ted, and you say, well, what does the word entertainment mean? Because you'll hear people say, well, it's just entertainment, right?
Right.
And so what I've come to understand about people when it comes to wordplay, the majority of people don't know what damn near any word really means. Because like a word only has one denotative meaning. Follow me now.
Okay.
The denotation is the actual meaning of the word. So you don't have 15 definitions for literal definitions for a word. But where you have multiple definitions comes under a term called connotation. Okay? When you have connotative means that you can have multiple meanings, because somebody can start to say like the word fat. They'll say, well, fat in the Eurocentric perspective, FAT means obese, out of shape, but now Negroes come with a slang component, PAT, fat. Now that means fresh, large, like in a positive way. It doesn't mean it in a negative way, right? So that's connotation. Yeah. That's not denotation, right? So now what I've come to realize, people, when they're using words, they don't know what most of these damn words mean. They just use the word and then they do word association. And so now what ends up happening, they associate a meaning just based on what they perceive the word actually means, and they never know. Right. So white folks, those architects, engineers, and managers of the philosophy system and game, knowing they don't know what words mean, knowing they don't know what symbol means, Steve Copley said they could just put the truth in the goddamn film because they're so arrogant, because they know the people don't know, and they can put the shit right in front of you and you'll never figure it out. You know, just like the symbolism in the layout at the mall in Washington. So much Masonic symbolism that Benjamin Banneker laid out from a Masonic standpoint, and it's right in your face. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like one of the best symbols I like to bring out to people when they say that they are not, we'll get into this discussion about religion, and they say, I'm a Christian. And then I say, do you believe in Islam and Allah? Hell no, I don't believe no Islam and Allah. I'm a Christian. So now you'll love this, Tumani. Any church that is, I would say, anywhere from 50 plus years old. Any church that's 50 plus years old, that's a Christian Baptist or Christian Methodist church. Not Koji, but Christian under almost any other denomination. If you look at the cornerstone for that goddamn church, tells you when it was started, who started it, the deacon board. What symbol will you see on all of those cornerstones?
Cross.
Huh?
A cross.
Nope.
A Masonic symbol.
Exactly. The compass and the square. Now I want you to think about this now. Now you go to any city building, downtown Houston, look and see what's on the cornerstone of those buildings. The compass and the square. You say, well, Craig, okay, that's a Masonic. What that got to do with religiosity, God, Allah? Because in masonry, on the base level, there's 33 degrees. And at the 33rd degree, when you cross over from the 32nd into the 33rd degree, you now start to embrace what? Islam. Because you've gone from the frozen state into the liquid state. And now you got to start to study the Quran. So my point is they can put all of these things in movies, on buildings, Brother Ted, because they know the people don't know.
Wow.
Now, as it relates to our people putting the symbols and things in our melanated people, putting these things in the movies, if they're really good people, like you know, you can, Spike Lee is questionable, but John Singleton, some of these directors have really tried to help our people, and so they will put symbols and whatnot in the movies to try to help tell a more in-depth story, knowing they can't be as literal as they would want to be, because then Hollywood would block the film, right? So they try to now, and what is this concept in Christian scripture called? Speaking in what? Parables.
Oh, parables. That's it.
You're speaking in parables.
Okay.
You see, and so sometimes you do this because otherwise you wouldn't get the film greenlit. Like in the movie Black Panther, there's a lot of symbolism in that film.
Yep.
A lot of symbolism in that film. So you got to be able to critically dissect these films in order for you to really get the messages that are being put out there.
Maybe you should tell Brother Ted exactly who Steve Coakley is. I'm sure you know who that is, right? Yeah, he never heard of Steve Coakley. You're muted, Craig.
Steve Coakley is, he referred to himself as a human encyclopedia. And this brother was a hell of a researcher, writer. They call him a futurist. And when I tell you this cat can connect the dots to show you the architects, the engineers, and the managers of the philosophy system and game of capitalistic white supremacy, I mean, he was phenomenal. He's responsible for a lot of the research that you would hear Farrakhan break down, like the mall on the Masonic layout of the Washington Monument and all this kind of stuff. He's the one that broke down the research on the Boule, the secret societies, how all of these things connect. I mean, the brother is phenomenal. So you could do a Google search. Wow. And Rock Bro, he's also was researcher and strategist for the Mayor Harold Washington campaign, which of course they assassinated Harold Washington. But I saw him in a video for the first time in '95, and man, when I heard that brother break things down and connect the dots, it was amazing. So
you say he was involved on what level with Harold Washington?
Oh, he was a strategist for Harold Washington.
Really?
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. That's why he was so heavy in Chicago.
Man, that's powerful. That's a hell of a relationship. That's a hell of a relationship, those two.
Oh yeah. Dude was off the chain. I mean, real talk.
I'm assuming that Steve Coakley's gift for connecting the dots that had to play into the creation of the 6 factions of African descendants, right? Because the Boule is certainly in there.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. That's why I was saying. See, that's why I was saying to you yesterday when I went back and looked at one of his lectures. It's unfortunate because I'm hearing him loud and clear, and this means a lot to me. Mm-hmm. But all the goddamn people in the audience, they wouldn't be able to do nothing with this information.
Yeah.
But for me, it meant a lot, right? And so other than people like myself and us on this call and what we're doing, that information is so high level. I mean, the people wouldn't know what to do with that other than, oh, did you know, man, the Rockefellers and the woo. And so now you start to sound like a damn fool, because what you gonna do with knowing about the Rockefellers, the DuPont, and how they're connected to Obama and all, that ain't gonna help you.
Yeah, absolutely nothing, because you have no way to apply it.
Greg, you know what? I just want to drop this plug. They mentioned something yesterday on the 13 News or one of those. I may have been CNN. I don't know, something. Two people that are getting the Nobel Peace Prize. When you said what you said this past week on Thursday about Nobel, dude, who thinks of this kind of shit, man? I don't.
Black nerds.
The creator just dropped it on me, Brother Ted. And then when you start to see it, it's like, damn, what these white folks they so gangster with it because they see. Here's what they know. Everything is a multi-dimensional process in this universe, whether it's 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional. Everything is multi-dimensional. It's not one-dimensional. So just like you have positive, righteous spirit, you have evil, unrighteous spirit. So they understand the power of words and symbols and colors and vibrations, right? So now what ends up happening? They know if they can name something, and it can stick, it'll be in perpetuity forever. Okay? Like you take Alcorn University. Alcorn University is named after a Ku Klux Klan slave owner who was a state legislator, and I think he ultimately became governor in the state of Mississippi, last name Alcorn. Wow. So now think about that. Why would you want your name on a building for African Americans? Wow. So you will always preside over your former slaves, even into perpetuity. They still got to call your name. So that name, by them calling your name, it gives you rise every single time. I mean, this shit is gangster. That's why it's so important what streets are named, what buildings are named. This shit is serious. For the Negro, it don't mean that because they don't understand the power that's incorporated in words and symbols. So they put it in their movies and all of this. This shit is, Brother Ted, I relocated back to Shreveport in 1994 as a pharmaceutical sales rep. I was hired by Astra Pharmaceuticals. Taro used to work for them as well. And they hired me to launch a product, listen to the name, Rhino Court. Rhino Court. It was a medication, a drug for allergic rhinitis, which is, your sinuses and whatnot. So Rhino Court, what do you think the symbol looked like?
I'm assuming the rhino with the horn or whatever.
Exactly. So look at what they did. They take the rhino, a portion of the rhino, which dealt with part of the face and the horn, and guess what they put on the tip of the goddamn horn? Wow. A butterfly. Wow. Strong on rhinitis, gentle on the nose.
That's pretty creative, man. That's pretty creative.
Bro, listen to me, man. For me, coming out of corporate America, seeing how these white folks use words, use colors, use symbols, bro, this shit is on a whole. Our people, they don't even, there's no way they would figure this shit out unless an insider.
People don't think that much goes into it. And even my little small mind, when I had no tutelage, if I could just use that, to point me or whatever, but the way my brain would think certain things, there was nobody to have a conversation with because I couldn't prove what I was saying. It sounded like I was off in left field. Some of the things like, man, where do people come up with this stuff at, man? How does that? Well, I know I gotta be wrong because ain't nobody thinking like that. And so that's just kind of stop, shit that just kind of go through your head and you just, it is not,
And that's why people like Steve Coakley is so important, where he connects the dots. All right, so now, what is Fresh doing in the beginning of the film?
Transporting.
You're muted.
So what is Fresh doing at the beginning of the film?
He's picking up numbers, and also I think he's getting payment, right, for the numbers as well.
Numbers?
Huh?
Yeah, no, he ain't picking up no number. He's picking up heroin packets.
Heroin packets.
Oh, my bad. Okay,
yeah.
Heroin packets. Yeah.
He's picking that up from Puerto Rican apartments. And did you see and did you see how fresh, how original he was? Now this is a child. He wasn't even a teenager. He wasn't even a teenager per se. Well, I guess he was 13. They were in junior high school. He wasn't in high school. They were in junior high school. But look at how he was looking at the Puerto Rican when the lady was talking all that jibber jabber. Such and such, fresh and fresh and fresh and fresh. And he just looking like, motherfucker, just give me the goddamn package.
That's right.
It's gotta be a full set. I can't be going in there with half-ass.
Exactly.
Amazing how one of them was lost.
Exactly. So one of the points I hit on here, tell me about his mannerisms while he was in the apartment. He was very studious. He was quiet while the lady was doing all that goddamn talking, and she was offering him food and trying to get with her daughter for sex, and he just looking at her punk ass, right? And then why was that important? Why was that very important in that film, which really showed you his critical thinking skills as a young person? Why was that very important? What did she do?
I think it lets us know that he's a different kind of cat.
But what did she do that made you see why his mannerisms were so important?
You mean what she tried to do?
Yeah.
Wait, you just said it.
Well, I think she was just trying to distract him, really, just.
For what reason?
She's trying to get over.
So she was gonna get that extra,
There you go. She was trying to keep that extra package
for herself, yeah, or whatever she was gonna do.
And no. See, we gotta be real specific. So why was she trying to keep that extra package?
That's money.
No. Why was she trying to keep that extra package?
He could possibly get him cut some kind of way, if he go in there half-assed. I mean, there's a price for that.
No, she tried to short him on the heroin package because in the film you can see when she reached out, he could see the needle tracks in her arm.
She wanted to use it for herself.
That's right.
Yeah, she wanted to use it for herself.
Yeah.
She was a user.
Yeah.
She was a user.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So see, you got to look at these films that way. See, they're not going to tell you that. You got to analyze. So Fresh is analyzing her ass, trying to distract him with food and cookies and sex and all that kind of shit. Fresh is looking at her punk ass like, okay, motherfucker, what's up? And he got them goddamn packages. Hey, motherfucker, you supposed to have 10 and whatnot. Whoop the whoop. Now that's very important. That's very important because that's going to come back later on in the film. And it shows that Fresh can be trusted by Corky.
Yeah.
Why? Because he didn't try to lose a package, but he had mistakenly dropped the package, but he brought it back. So it showed that Corky can actually trust it. And that came up. Well, it wasn't Corky, it was actually the Estabo.
Okay.
Esteban. It was Esteban. Esteban was like, my little man, see, my little money maker. I can trust you, right? But not knowing that Fresh was setting their ass up. All right. So where does he go next after he leaves the Puerto Rican apartment?
To the guy that he's making the delivery, the drop to.
Exactly. And that's where he's going to ultimately come up with his real escape plan, because he's going to end up wanting 5 kilos of heroin. And I mean, just clever how he played it up. All right, what happens between Fresh and the supervisor at the location once he tells the cat he needs 5 bricks?
The guy doesn't believe that he's actually getting it for the person that he says he's getting it for, right?
Yeah. They get into it behind Fresh's sister. The guy doesn't like the fact that Esteban trusts a young child to make drug runs.
Right.
And so, because remember he said this is man's work, This is goddamn Mansburg. What the hell you doing? Making runs like that. So Fresh's next stop, he goes to the truck with.
Let me add, Craig, and also in that scene in the Puerto Rican woman's apartment, I think that also shows his fearlessness, or he wasn't going to be punked, because the dude that was sitting in the apartment was most certainly eyeballing him.
Exactly.
And he looked right back at him, at such an early age, to look a man in the eye like, bitch, I'm not afraid of you, kind of thing. I think that also showed that he was fearless.
Yeah, he was fearless, man. He damn sure was fearless. But goddamn show. And so then his next stop, he goes to the drug warehouse to turn over the product he collected to receive payment before going to school. And so look at how he handled that. He wasn't sweating him about the money because he knew Esteban was good about the goddamn money. Right? So he's working for two different drug dealers. He's working for Corky. Corky is moving what?
Heroin, right? Heroin.
No. Corky is moving cocaine.
Okay, wait a minute.
Then,
wait, okay, so what? So if
Corky is
cocaine,
crack,
huh?
and Esteban is doing the heroin.
And Esteban is what's his name?
The one that's always in Spike Lee's movies. Yeah, he was dating the sister.
Yeah.
The one that was dating her, or the one that wanted her?
That got her.
He was dating. Yeah, he got her back.
Yeah.
So there are two or there are three drug dealers in the movie?
Well, it's three drug dealers in the movie, but
right.
Corky and Esteban are the main ones that Fresh is working for. Yeah. James is the third one, who is also a heroin dealer, who is between, his sister is between James and Esteban.
Okay. And Esteban is a Puerto Rican brother, right? The one that's in all these movies, or a lot of them.
Exactly.
Okay.
So goddamn Fresh is going between both worlds, heroin world and the crack and the crack world. Right?
Craig, let me ask you real quick in that, because I got once you see the whole thing, you got it all together. When he wrote the movie, obviously the producer knew, but what I wasn't sure about was, did the kid get the idea to do it that way, or did he set out to do it in the beginning? Do you know if that's there, or if it's just built in?
I think what ended up happening out of necessity.
Okay.
Out of the circumstances that he was in, he ended up creating the game plan based on his ability to strategically and tactically plan.
Okay.
But I don't, because as we get into talking about how his friend ends up getting killed, it wasn't his intent to get his friend killed, but it was his intent to use his friend's shit talking to get the word out, to create controversy between different factions, different competing drug dealers, right?
Yeah, I saw his motivation as, I need to save my sister, because
that definitely was his motivation. Save his, because think about it, they're in a fucked up situation.
Right.
The mother is obviously on crack or heroin. His father, Samuel Jackson, is not there for the family, but he is teaching him chess.
Yeah.
Okay. They're from pillar to post. They're staying with their mom's sister, right? With a whole bunch of other children, which is politics all in that. And his sister, who he really wants to protect and look out for, she doesn't want to be there because she wants to do her own thing.
Right. So who are the? I'm looking up the cast right now to make sure I got it right. So Giancarlo Esposito is Esteban.
Yeah.
Corky, and then who was the third one? James. Hold on, I'm trying to find the.
Yeah, because his sister was between James and Esteban.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't have James as a main character, but okay.
Now, well, he didn't play a major role in the film. He played a small role. He was a pawn. He was a pawn that Fresh used.
So James was the brother who had the sister, and Esposito wanted the sister, correct?
No, she was between both of them. So she was just maneuvering, because remember, she said that she didn't like rolling with Esteban because of the way he looked at her.
Like a queen, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Which is very, very, very telling as it relates to her thoughts about herself.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not worthy of being treated that way, so stop it. Although he abused your ass. Yeah.
Like she said, I'm just a nigga hoe. I'm just a low-class nigga hoe.
That's sad. Okay. I got it.
Now this the gangster part here, and I know y'all missed this. I know y'all missed it. When he gets to school late, what class is he late for, and what is the teacher lecturing about?
It's either social studies or history. She's talking about Columbus.
Well, you're correct. It's history, and she's referencing Columbus, but she says something else more profound than Columbus.
She said,
and this is for what I just got through telling Brother Ted, how when our directors or producers are writing or doing film, they can put things in there as a symbolism for us to do more research on. So, and I've done a show, we've done shows on this, on Revolutionary Code. So what is the teacher lecturing about?
Jesus Christ, man. Give me a hint. Give me a hint.
I sent you an image a few weeks ago, and you was like, what in the hell is this image about? Because I didn't tell you what it was about.
That's your hint?
It was
I don't know.
She was lecturing about manifest destiny.
Oh, right. The image with the white woman floating over the stage.
That's why I sent you the image of the white chick.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, damn, this is some gangster shit. The teacher, who is just she only had just that one little role. She's talking about history, Columbus, whoop the whoop, and you hear her clearly talk about manifest destiny in the film.
Right.
So Brother Ted, I sent, because I think I sent a note with the photo. I say, man, this is just gangster. And somebody say, what in the hell is this? It's the white lady that's associated. She's the symbol for manifest destiny.
All right, I'm trying to find the symbol real quick to show Brother Ted.
All you gotta do is go to Google manifest destiny, and you'll find the symbol. Because that's the main symbol. It's gangster.
All right.
Wow.
You see it?
No, hold on. You said manifest destiny what?
Just manifest destiny, and then you can do a Wikipedia of manifest destiny. That symbol is gonna be right there.
All right, hold on.
Wow.
Yeah, this.
That's how you do it, Brother T.
There it is right there. Yeah, I see it.
That's how you do it, Brother T.
All right, okay, so explain the symbol. We looking at it.
Yeah. Man.
It's the white female. They sell you on the benevolence. See, the white female represents the pseudo benevolence of the white male. And so remember, how do they go about taking over all their territory?
You mean as far as the process?
Yeah, what's the process?
It is the missionaries. Missionaries, something military.
The 3M formula.
I know. So it's missionaries. Can't be ministers. Missionaries.
Your past life.
Military. The military is the second or third one?
It's the second one.
Oh shit! I thought it was okay. So missionaries, military, and I'm gonna say money. I don't remember the third one.
Merchant. Yeah, money.
What?
Merchants.
Merchants, the business.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
I got you. Okay.
And so the white female represents the missionary, the benevolence, the nice Christian, wonderful, because it's our, God has ordained us.
Right.
Take over everything. That's a hell of a symbol there,
Yeah,
bro.
hold that thought. Hold that thought, Brother Craig. I'm going to our the notes from the show, from the Revolutionary Code. I'm thinking about the different definitions of mafia. And as you're talking about the image, the white woman being the pseudo benevolence of the system. Okay, go to that one piece, that one bullet point. It says, this is the fourth bullet point as it relates to the definition of mafia. The fourth one is, I'm sorry, the third one: a closed group of people in a particular field having a controlling influence, while simultaneously creating an illusion of being nice and friendly. And that's exactly what you just said.
Hey, bro, this how they bro.
Hey, as we always say, you got to tip your hat.
Yeah, you got to tip your hat to them. Yeah, you got to tip your hat to them. Yeah, you got to tip your hat to them because again, this is multidimensionalism at its greatest.
Yeah.
And that's why it's very difficult for the majority of people to ever figure this out, because the majority of people operate on a one-dimensional level, which is why Fresh was able to outmaneuver everybody, because he maneuvered on a multidimensional level, critical thinking, deductive reasoning. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He understood percentages, and he had, like you said, he had the courage, and he was fearless in how he navigated his game plan.
Do you think when the movie started, he was already planning to do what he was planning to do, or do you think it developed as the movie went through?
Well, think about it. He was already setting something up, because he kept his money in a hidden location.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay.
He had a dream, man. Remember you sat on that hill and look out over the city?
Yes, sir.
He had a dream.
Exactly. He had an idea. So that's why I said you got to understand how the film first started.
Yeah.
He had fresh, original concepts. So he was really an architect.
Yeah.
You see, because all those buildings were designed by who? Some architect.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I'm thinking about Chicago. Yeah. So let me ask you this question really quickly. I don't know. Do you think? Well, not do you think? If you had the power, and you were charged with the responsibility, kind of like we are charged, of educating, preparing a new generation to deal with this psychology system and game, what age would you start educating, and what would you start with? Given the fact of what we just said about manifest destiny, that symbol of the white woman, the definition of mafia, the Thursday show, it's a lot. Like you said, this shit is multi-layered, multi-dimensional. It's a lot of stuff. So if we have to educate, which we do, a new generation of African children to understand all of this, personally, Craig B. Lee, what age would you start, and what would you start with?
I mean, I would start, preschool. Based on certain Afrocentric concepts for those entities at each level, from, age 1, 2 years old. Well, I'm even mess you up even more. I got a product. I ain't even told you about this product, but I'm gonna tell you now, based on the question that you just asked. I would start time they come out the womb with a product that I have called, initially it was called Root, ROOT, Bibs, BIBS. My mother designed a oversized very quality-oriented bib when back in 1991, when I thought I was the father of this child, and she designed this bib, and females started asking me, man, where did you buy this from? I said, well, my mom made it. And so she's like, can she make me some? So my mom didn't want to do it. I said, man, a child, you know, from one second old, 1 day old, up until, you know, the age of, I guess, you know, some months or one, I don't know, two, I don't know when it come out of bibs. Before they can start to speak a language, they see.
Yeah.
And they hear. They see and they hear.
Yeah.
But the visual is the most important thing. So I say, what if you can now have a bib that has ethnic fabric on it, Afrocentric, Asiatic, you know, different things, but it's primarily for us. What if you now start to now have ethnic fabric on a bib? So you're now starting to ingrain culture into the minds of a child.
Yeah.
Sit down, they're coming out the womb.
That's right.
So it's things like that we start here 1 day old. And then you just get to the next level. But I would start early like that.
Yeah.
And then the lessons just go from, you know, we create a curriculum from, you know, ages like from so we're talking images, visual images, and sound, music. Like today here in Houston, there's going to be a reggae fest. So me and Ty are going to go to that. So just think, if you're putting out there visual images and music, cultural music, and positive music, while the female is carrying the child, and now when the child comes out the womb, you're already preparing the child for revolutionary thought.
That's right. That's right. Hey, I want you to hold that thought real quick, Craig. I want to show you a picture of my daughters when they were little. That's in the nursery. Wow. This is my daughters in the nursery in the shrine. You see that image in the background?
Yeah.
So what you just said, Jesus, our version, the real Jesus. What you just said is what they saw.
Yeah.
From day one, coming out of the womb, everything they saw, their environment, 100%.
Yeah.
And I tell that story about my son. We were going to Fiesta, the grocery store, and at that time, they were Koreans, Vietnamese, whoever they were, Asians, were selling quote unquote art, black art in front of the grocery store. And this older woman was looking at a picture of the white Jesus. Okay. And I don't know why we stopped, but we did. We were looking at it, and the woman said to my son, who had to be 3 or 4 years old, she said, "Baby, do you know who that is?" Looking at the white Jesus. And my son said, "No." And she said, "That's Jesus." My son said, "That ain't Jesus. Jesus is black." But that's all he saw.
Exactly.
Right. So what you just said, that cultural piece, that's important because that visual image is everything.
Man,
exactly.
look, I know our time is short, probably short, but Craig, and you don't have to try to deal with this right now, but one of the things I want to get your input on, something we're trying to do with Tahimba. My brain is running off on a lot of things, like Tamani has probably already run to the end of the street already. So one of the things I'm trying to do is figure out how best, based on what we are dealing with. We got kids who are where they are, young teenagers, never heard the stuff we're about to start talking about. They are going to be pretty much teenagers, but we also got them in environments, families, whatever situations their circumstances are. Everything we say when we start trying to do what we're trying to do, what I'm trying to figure out is how, you know, like a gardener is getting ready to plant. Yeah. How do you prepare the ground? I need to get our circle on the right kind of page, knowing what we're about to do. And I'm just like, okay, how would we prepare? Because we got to get them to receive. I mean, I'm just really, I'm wrestling with a lot of different things in my mind, and just the way you think, maybe you can help add some insight. We're going to take a couple of weeks, kind of like not a sabbatical. We're trying to work a plan on how to do what we're trying to do and make the outcome or at least we want a target of being able to be successful. That's
Yeah.
how I'm thinking about it. Tamani already sees that it's gonna work. I see, how do we make sure it's gonna work?
Yeah, and we could come up with some activities
Okay,
for the
and more for us as the facilitators.
facilitators. Yeah.
Refers to
Oh
us.
no, I definitely, and ironically, Taro asked me to do something similar for her corporate team on a global scale, and I just came up with that for her last night. So yeah, I'll definitely.
Okay, just think about that for me, man. I appreciate that.
Okay. All right. So now, at the school, in the locker, a herring pack falls out of Fresh's backpack, and like I said earlier, that was significant going back to the apartment scene because he brings that back to Esteban because they gonna count all of the packages.
That's right.
Okay. And so that's how Esteban Esteban bet his dude that $100 that Fresh would be honorable, and that's exactly what happened.
Right.
And so that was a very significant part of the film because that's how he was able to use his multidimensional strategy against Esteban to set all of them up. You see, because he had gained all of their trust. He had gained trust of James.
Yeah.
He had gained trust of Esteban. He had gained trust of goddamn Corky. Now the underlings didn't like him because he was so goddamn young, and they were pissed off because they believed that they were what? Men.
Yeah.
And they believed him to be a boy, but in all actuality, he actually had more manhood in him than they did.
He had a good teacher. His teacher said something to him that made him rethink.
That's right.
Exactly. All right, so now we got the playground scene at the schools, boys section versus the girls section, and so we go back to the auditorium. That was connected to the auditorium scene where Fresh and his crew came in to see the girls practice. And so I asked the question, who teaches males about girls and sex? See, unfortunately, we learn these things just in those small little retarded groups that we're in.
Right.
Nobody teaches us. And so that's why a lot of the immaturity is there, not knowing how to navigate and maneuver with females. I say here, Fresh is bold and different, but he knows how to chill with his friends. I had this highlighted as being very powerful. The conversation between Fresh and his puppy love interest. They're discussing their mothers. Her mother is white. Both of them are lying about their mothers because they don't want you to know the truth about their mother.
This is how poor they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now their lies turn into fantasies about what? About what, Tamani?
Money, status, and materialism. What they own, how much money they got, blah, blah, blah.
Everything is about money, status, and materialism. Fresh attempts to impress her about his awareness of cars, and he goddamn sure knows about them cars.
Yeah, he was detailed to the point. Yeah.
Because I'm like, goddamn, I know I don't know. And so Fresh tells her about his desires of having millions of dollars. And so I put down here, the indoctrination is serious. And this movie came out before the goddamn internet.
Mm-hmm.
This movie came out. So just imagine if they did a remake of Fresh. Yeah. Oh my goodness. With the internet. Yeah. Oh my goodness. So that was very profound. So of course he tells her he's gonna have $1 million, and she's like, you ain't gonna have nothing. And she don't know he's selling dope. So and he's stashing.
You already
He's
started. You got a stash.
Hey, bro, he had enough money to be able to do what? Buy them keys.
Buy them keys of cocaine, yeah. Just like that, yeah.
So this cat, cause you gotta be able to put some skin in the game. So he understood. I'm going to now stash up, cause I'm gonna put some skin in the damn game. The apartment scene where Fresh goes home. Many children. His grandmother was there. His aunt was there. His cousin. His aunt tried to save his sister. So when we look at how he ended up coming up with his plan, it was out of the necessity that he was around.
Well, I didn't get why it seemed like his grandmother, I'm assuming that was his grandmother.
Yeah.
Not only did she, but the females in the house, all of them seemed to have a problem with him. Did you catch that?
Yeah, without a doubt, but because he's in and out. You know, they at the house. This boy is maneuvered.
Oh, okay.
He coming in late night.
So I think he up to no good kind of thing.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, like, and then, you know, if you got, it's one thing if you got a mama who's bad news, but now you got their sister, she on drugs, she's selling the body.
Right.
So it's like, they really don't want their ass at the house.
Right.
Either one of them, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So yeah, and the grandmama ain't say a goddamn thing. She ain't say nothing. So the politics, to your point, the politics come into play because his cousin tells him that if he messes up their living arrangement,
that was badass, man.
I'm a kill more than once too.
So just think about, this is real life here now.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
This is real life. This is how a lot of these young females end up getting into prostitution and drugs just based on necessity.
Yeah.
And so I talk about the sophistication of the crack drug purchase scene. So just look at the sophistication, just like I was referencing the people who just got arrested here in Houston. Our regular people better start to understand. These people may not want to study or learn about history, manifest destiny, geometry, algebra, calculus, but when it comes to goddamn making money, their creativity is off the charts, bro.
Yeah.
So I said, you look at Jake Dope Scene, Fresh knows how to maneuver. Fresh slaps the female. Oh yeah, the female wanted some drugs, and then Fresh didn't want to give her no damn drugs. And she said, "Man, I suck your dick, Fresh." He slapped her hand.
Get away from me with that.
I mean, Fresh was goddamn. So he had pimp in him too, you know.
He gangster. Yeah.
Fresh like, I'm not selling you not a damn thing.
I'm trying to get my sister out of this bullshit.
That's
Here
right.
you go trying to do it. I ain't gonna.
Exactly. And then you see how he deals with white customers. So all of that is very important. So the first chess scene with Fresh, he was in the park where he beats the Latino and makes $20. So he's running the hustle on him, and Samuel Jackson, his father, and his chess coach, he says, what does he tell him about the game that he just won the $20 on? He said that was a waste of time because he knew Fresh could beat him. But it's funny because his dad ran hustles in the goddamn park too.
That's right.
So it's like, it's kind of crazy. That's one of those bad parenting moves. Do what I say and not what I do.
Right, right.
He said, you running hustles, so he run hustles, but you don't want him to run hustles because you know he's superior, because he really wants Fresh to be a grandmaster on the chess thing, and he wants to teach him. But he gives some hell of a information. He says, anything that is lost can be found, except what?
Time.
Okay? Now, the other thing, I said that was a lie. That's true, but it was half. The other thing is life,
Yeah.
because you ain't going to be able to get that back, brother. You
Yeah.
can't get time back, and you ain't going to get your life back. Once that's gone, that's a wrap.
But isn't life time?
Well, you can look at time being a function in life, but life is not exactly time, but they are directly connected. So because you can lose time and still exist or be alive. So we know that time is not exactly life, but they are interconnected because as you exist or live, time is ticking.
Yeah.
But when, you can't get either one of them back. So Fred said it was fun, and his dad told him chess was not about fun. So the great dialogue with his father. So we talked about offensive or defensive. Samuel Jackson said neither. He said he adjusts to his opponent. He is what? He is what, Tamani?
Say it again.
Samuel Jackson said he's neither offensive or defensive. He said he's neither. He adjusts to his opponent. So that makes him what?
Adaptable, flexible.
Shit.
Which is what? Which is what? Exactly. Which makes him what? What's the word? A hybrid.
I was about to say that. Damn. I was about to say a hybrid. Okay. Hybrid.
And so that's just like Bruce Lee's Kung Fu style, which was like water. So that was absolutely awesome. And that's when, you know, he told Fresh when he was talking a little ghetto stuff, he said, check that ghetto shit at the door. You know, and we ain't even dealing with all that. And so now we get to the scene where Fresh and his friends are walking home from school. And again, more indoctrination, comics, cartoons, money, status, materialism, and sports. So that's why, Tamani, we start this early with the children. And we see indoctrination in and of itself, just like manipulation in and of itself, is not negative. But when you hear those terms mentioned, indoctrination, manipulation, influence, those are not exclusively negative. You can indoctrinate in a positive way. You can manipulate in a positive way. You can influence in a positive and righteous way. So just like those things are negative, can be negative, they can also be positive. So the next thing, Esteban and Fresh, Esteban schools Fresh on politics and economics behind selling crack versus heroin. And he said the longevity is in heroin, but not in crack. And it's so interesting that Esteban rose in this upstanding manner because he was a family dude.
Right.
You know, but he wanted to know who his sister was rolling with. And so, of course, he reserves that information to now gain more leverage with Esteban. You see?
Yep.
The next thing, Fresh goes to see his sister. That's where he's with James, where she's with James, another heroin drug dealer. See, James wanted her to use heroin. Esteban didn't really want her to use heroin, but she got the heroin because that's what she wanted. But James was trying to keep her that way.
Right.
And this is where she says, I don't want to roll with Esteban because he looks at her like a queen, and James doesn't. She said she is a sorry ass Negro hoe. So this is where we now finally learn Fresh's name. What is his name? What is his real name?
I don't know.
Michael.
Okay.
That's his real name. So now we get to the playground scene where, you know, they're out there. They see his little girlfriend. The boys are talking. They're playing basketball. Jake gets shown up by a youngster, and now what does he do? murders a young hoop star
Yeah.
and Fresh's girlfriend.
That's right.
And this became what? The turning point. Because remember, Fresh was always, his number one thing in life when he played chess was always doing what? Protecting who?
The queen.
Exactly. He lived his life that way, the way that he played chess. But once his girlfriend was got killed, because his dad was telling him, your ass can't never beat me because you always trying to use protect the goddamn queen.
That's right.
So this is when he really gets it. So this is it. So this is the next chess scene, and his dad is analyzing his game. And he tells him to stop protecting your damn queen all the time. You want my queen. You got to come get my king. All of these other pieces, and he mean all of them, are just a means to it. Every time you make a good run at me, I just threaten your queen and back you go. You treat her like she is the last lady on earth. The queen, listen to what he said. The queen is just a pawn with a lot of fancy moves. Oh,
that's right.
Say nothing more, goddammit. And he didn't know what Fresh was going, because they never talked.
Right.
That's the other great thing about Fresh. He's learning all of these things and applying them to his life without even talking to his dad. So now you see, you're playing a man who feels naked. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, so he goes deeper. He said, when you see a man who feels naked without his lady, use him. Jump in there and take her, tease her, threaten her, and he won't be able to think about his game anymore. That's when you make the real move. You like that horse, don't you? You like his crazy moves. He jumps all over the board. Think he's your friend. Hate to lose him, almost as you hate to lose that lady. Well, he's just your friend, boy. They all are. But you're gonna have to use him just like you use the others. So this dude hates. Now, so the horse was who to Fresh in real life?
It's either it had to be his sister, right?
No.
The little friend that he used.
Oh, the little Latino brother. Yeah, the one with the big mouth.
Yeah.
Exactly, because he says here, you like his crazy moves. What was the number one thing that old boy, his friend, always said?
I got crazy moves.
I got crazy moves.
That's right.
So his dad didn't even know his friend. So now the horse is his friend. The queen is his sister.
Right.
And he now understands I got to be able to use all of these. They're just pawns in order to get to the king. Because he had to knock out 2 kings. Well, he had to kind of knock out 3 kings. Who were the 3 kings he had to knock out?
You say who were the 3 kings?
Yeah, that he had to knock out.
Oh, the 3 drug dealers.
Exactly.
James, Esteban, and Corky.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This mother. So now. Okay, all right. Okay, so now let me show you. Let me see if y'all can get this. He had to knock out 3 kings, right? Which means he was doing what?
He was a double agent. He was a double triple agent.
Exactly. So now, what scene in the movie connects to him knocking out 3 kings simultaneously?
What scene?
Yeah.
What scene brings it all together, or what scene
brings it all together?
It had to be when they, it had to be the shootout, right? When they go and they start murdering. That wasn't it.
It's when he first went to his dad's trailer house.
Okay.
Because in the trailer house, his dad had what?
Pictures.
In the trailer house.
Yeah, a bunch of chessboards and the pictures all over the place.
He had the chessboard.
Right.
He had about 4 games going.
Oh, he was playing against other people and himself. All right,
Yeah,
I got it.
Yeah.
I got you.
So so Fred had to play 3 separate games.
Right. Yeah.
3 games.
In real life. In real
real
time.
His dad was playing on the board, and he playing in real life.
Yeah.
That's gangster, bro.
Yeah.
That is.
That's gangster.
Yeah.
Okay, so
and you know, brother Craig, brother Ted just said, you know, the producers, you know, did a hell of a job to put that part in there. And I was just thinking that's why it's so important that we understand that we got to do the same thing. When Brother Craig said this is a multi-level, multi-dimensional system that we're in, we got to understand how this thing works on multiple levels, how it plays out, so that we can maneuver properly. Because we got to deal with multiple kings as well. Go ahead.
Look how long it took to get to this place. I haven't been around all these years, but look how many times I probably have canceled out opportunity. What could have happened 30 years ago, maybe. Yeah. People haven't, like I talk to certain friends, different people. I don't try to do what I see us doing. I do these doses, dropping, you know, let's see. I test the waters. And because you can't resist, like, okay, ain't no sense of me. You just, I mean, you know, people are not ready, know they're not gonna receive. And people have this idea that, well, you know, you never know what people are gonna do. I understand that, but there is a point of, I do know what you're gonna do. I know what you're gonna do already, because I know you already paid attention to you. So there is that, because it's like, man, the fact that people won't sit here, because if somebody, I could take 2 friends, like they were sitting here, they would have issue, but it's like, okay, the fact that you sat through it, now let's talk about it, because you done got information that you did not have. You treat your life as if you had it. You treat your life like you already know, and you do not know. I mean, you know you're not a brain surgeon, you know you're not actually a rocket science, you know that, but you act like you're an expert in life, and you are not. You act like you're an expert in information and knowledge, and you are not. And when you sit with somebody who happens to be somebody who studied, they not claim to be quote unquote expert. I mean, even though Craig, you are intellectual gangster, but you got receipts, you got references, you got resume. Now, if you don't have that, why are you trying to act like you do?
Right? Why you trying?
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
that's what makes it, and that's why you have to be so clever, like you're saying, how we approach people. And I just do it through the physical reality and allow them to ask the questions, because because they lack spirituality, they reject enlightenment automatically, because of exactly what you just got through saying. They want to pretend that they know when they know they don't know.
They don't know.
And it's unfortunate, but that's where we're at. Now this is the critical part when he's talking about is going from the park, going back to his trailer. He says to Fresh about the horse. He says, if he falls by the wayside, it's just life's little game, ain't it? Until you come ready to play that game, you'll never beat her at it. So you gotta understand in this game how we're being used as pawns, and we now got to flip the script within that overall dynamic. So of course now they're at the trailer, and so he's discussing all of the chess games with himself and the different chess champs. So this is setting it all up, and you know that this is a critical part of the movie. Why? Because what does Fresh do when he go back to his apartment with all of the goddamn relatives?
With all of the what?
With all of his cousins and whatnot. What does Fresh do that shows you that he know he was really listening to his dad.
The chessboard and set that chessboard up. Say, don't mess with this. Don't touch this.
There you go. There you go.
Exactly. See, he's listening. He know he ain't really asking a lot of questions. His goddamn ass is observing. And so Samuel is talking about he done played a lot of these cats, even the great Bobby Fischer. And he said, you know, he said they beat me. I did good, but they beat me. He said, you put the clock on their ass, I chew their ass up. I chew them up. He said, we weren't playing with the clock, but you put them on the clock, I eat their ass up. He said, sometimes I won, but mostly I lost. But you put the show on speed, I chew all their asses up. Put the clock, listen to this. Put the clock on them. Now this is at the 52-minute mark, so y'all can go back and look at this. There. At the 52-minute mark, he breaks it all down. And he said, put the clock on them. Put the heat on their backs. They break down. Put them in the park, fishing for $1, and they break. That's Bobby Fischer. You put the clock on his ass, I chew his ass up just like the rest of them. Chew him right up. So he's letting you know, hey, it's easy to make decisions when you ain't got time,
Right.
when you got limited time.
Right.
But you goddamn me got a limited clock. That shot clock on your ass, now you got a lot more to consider than just the move. You got pressure.
That's a good analogy to life because, you know, people with means, they got options.
Yeah.
So they got time to think about what they want to do. But if you don't have options, if you don't have money, if you're poor, if you're grassroots, nigga, I'm trying to survive. You know, that's a very, very, very good point.
I want you nothing about reading no damn miseducation of the Negro. I want you nothing about no goddamn revolutionary code. They ain't got time for all that shit. Like. See, so you got to make money as an entrepreneur in order to buy back what? What were we talking yesterday? You just asked me last night on my way there.
You got to be able to control your time. Exactly.
And you ain't going to be able to control your time unless you can now become financially independent, bro.
Right.
I mean,
I don't think they talked about it. I can assume it's some sort of addiction, but I don't remember if they talked about it. Why do you think Samuel L. Jackson's character, who's obviously intelligent, didn't do more with his time, with his life?
He represents the reality of what goes on. A lot of brilliant brothers who fall by the wayside, who got caught up with drugs, who got caught up with just regular life issues.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have been somebody who did something, but then you took a hit, you know, believing shit, I can conquer anything, and now the drug conquered you.
Yeah.
But that's what Samuel Jackson represents. The struggle of that intelligent brother who got so many obstacles against him. He can see this on the chessboard, but he can't see it in the human chessboard.
Yeah, life.
Fresh could see it in both.
Yeah.
The play chessboard and the human chessboard.
Right.
That's why I play dominoes. I don't play dominoes just to play on the board, on the table. I bring what I learned to life. And I bring what I learned from the life domino game to the table domino game.
Okay.
So now Samuel Jackson tries to give Fresh some fatherhood advice, and Fresh lets his dad know he can't tell him a goddamn thing because he used the word nigga. He said, you can't tell me nothing because you ain't been raising me.
That's right.
So he said, don't get it twisted now. I'm letting you mentor me on the chessboard, but you ain't got no privileges of telling me what not to motherfucking say. Because I am going through struggle, me and my sister. Okay, so now we get to the dog fighting scene with Chucky. The dog had never fought before, and he won. So now, so the other dog looked like it was going to tear his ass up.
Yeah.
So now we get into what? The nature of an entity. the nature of an animal, the nature of a human is already there. Fresh now starts to make his move in the game using Chucky. Chucky is the knight on the chessboard. Fresh is creating controversy between competing drug dealers. He uses Chucky because he knows Chucky will promote the propaganda that will work for Esteban. This would put Corky and Esteban in competition, right, because he had to create the illusion that Corky was now selling heroin.
Yeah.
And he had to create the illusion with Corky that Esteban was selling crack.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's some gangster, bro. That's gangster there, bro.
Oh, yeah. And you are most certainly thinking and operating on a higher level.
Yeah. And so now I mentioned the fact that Fresh's aunt was helping to raise 11 children. So that was phenomenal, but that's overbearing. So now we talk about the gangsters where Fresh tells Corky the play to get rid of Jake. So he had to get rid of Jake Punk and his boy. And he say, I ain't scared of no more. I'm going to tell the truth. And so now he goes and Corky calls the dude where Fresh confronted the money to get the damn keys. And it's like, where I'm gonna get that from? I'm just a little kid.
That's right. Playing innocent.
I ain't scared of them no more. They trying to make a move on you. They trying to make a move on. So he gets rid of the direct entities who didn't trust him at all. And that was just absolutely phenomenal. Now he goes and makes the move on Esteban to get rid of Corky and James. See? Because he knew Corky and James were weaker than Esteban.
Right.
So now we can take two out with one.
And he did. Yeah, that was...
and in all actuality, he was trying to take all their asses out at the same time. Because what did he do when they rode up on James's place?
He took after they got finished shooting, he took the gun and put it in his bag.
That I'm talking about. While everybody was upstairs, what did they do? What was he doing?
Watching, eating the candy bar, watching. He was being, and I was thinking he watching this thing like it's a movie. He's just being entertained.
That damn Fresh said, I'm gonna catch the show. And then so he uses his queen, his queen piece, his sister, to make his ultimate move on Esteban. He did everything that his dad talked about within that overall dynamic. And that is the basis of everything. And in the last scene, where his dad asked him if he was ready to become the king, and he started to cry because he knew he was ready to become king, but all of the things that he had to suffer through and maneuver through, it brought the youth out of him, and it was very profound.
Yep.
And so that is my review of this phenomenal film, Fresh. And it is definitely a film that young people need to be aware of, because these are moves that very few young people would ever be able to make. Mm-hmm. But this is how we got to cultivate them in the right way, outside of selling drugs and the things that Fresh ended up doing to survive.
Right, and of course we have to give them options so that they never have to go that way in the first place. Yeah, and of course we have to put ourselves in a position by which we can identify that kind of genius in our young people and put them on the path so they don't ever get caught up in the first place.
Exactly.
All right, so Brother Ted had to step out. So do you have any closing comments or remarks that you want to make?
That's about it, man. I'm ready for next movie, Book of Eli, in 2 weeks, and we'll be ready to rock and roll.
Cool. All right. On that note, I want to say always remember that no one can do everything, but if everyone does something, everything will get done. And absolutely, always remember that nothing is more sacred than the liberation, salvation, empowerment, and freedom of Black people. Thank you very much, Brother Craig. I'll see you in 2 weeks and we'll keep it rolling. I appreciate it.
All right, brother.